As Jean-Luc Godard once said, cinema is truth 24 times a second, but without depth, it's just flat truth.
That's just a fact.
If you missed part 1 of our How to Create Depth series, where we broke down layering and composition tricks that cost $0 but look like $1 million, pause this right now and go watch it first. It's packed with techniques you'll actually use on your next shoot. This is How to Create Depth Part 2, and we're about to unlock the secret language of light, color, and space. Smash that subscribe button, and if you want even more, consider joining our YouTube membership for exclusive resources we don't share anywhere else. And now, let's switch on the light. Lighting is how you sculpt space. It's how you create mood, focus, and dimension. And the best part? You don't need a full lighting truck to do it. Just 3 simple techniques and a bit of creativity. Let's start with the most important rule: light with purpose. Motivated lighting means your light makes sense in the scene. It feels like it belongs, like it's coming from a lamp, a window, or a car headlight. Now here's the trick for creating depth. Use practicals and motivated sources to light your foreground and background separately. For example, place a lamp behind your subject to warm up the background, while using a soft key light on the subject to create separation. This breaks the shot into layers: light, shadow, and color, each telling a part of the story. You've seen this everywhere, from The Wife to indie short films shot in one-bedroom apartments. It's not about big setups. It's about creating contrast and intention in each layer of your frame. Now, before we go further, let me tell you this, because it might sting. You can light your scene perfectly, follow every tutorial, and still, people will ignore your work. Not because you're not talented, but because good-looking shots aren't enough. People don't remember pretty frames. They remember what pulls them in, tells a story, and makes them feel. Without that, even your best-looking footage gets scrolled past and forgotten. And until you fix this, you'll keep grinding without getting the respect you deserve and doubting yourself. But I'll tell you how to change that soon, so keep watching. Let's move into the next piece of the puzzle: shadows. Flat lighting kills depth. So introduce shadows. Use a single strong key light positioned at an angle to carve out contrast across the subject's face or space. This is chiaroscuro, the dramatic interplay of light and darkness used by painters like Caravaggio and embraced by filmmakers like Gordon Willis, The Godfather, or Greg Fraser, Dune. Shadows define shape. They give the illusion of form and force your audience to feel what's hidden as much as what's shown. It's not just dramatic, it's cinematic, and you can pull it off with a cheap LED light, or even a flashlight if you know where to place it. Now here's one of the fastest ways to separate your subject from the background: backlighting, or rim lighting. Place a light behind your subject, angled slightly toward the camera. What you get is a glow or outline, tracing their shoulders, head, or hair. This creates a visual cutout effect, lifting your subject off the background, especially in darker environments. It adds depth, it adds style, and it instantly elevates even the simplest scene. Lighting isn't just about exposure. It's about shaping space, revealing emotion, and giving your image a sense of dimension. Even when working on a budget, use motivated lighting to break the scene into layers, shadows and contrast to sculpt your world, and rim lights to carve out your subject. Because when you master light, you master depth. You've composed your frame, ticked the right lens, and shaped your scene with light, but something still feels flat. Like your image is missing depth, missing that immersive cinematic feel. So, here's the secret weapon most beginners overlook: color and contrast. Used intentionally, they can separate your subject from the background and give your shot visual dimension without moving the camera an inch. Most filmmakers obsess over camera gear, but the real magic often comes from color choices. So, let's talk separation. Use contrasting color temperatures between your foreground and background. Think warm light on your subject, cool tones in the background, or vice versa. This instantly adds visual layers. In Joker, director Todd Phillips and DP Lawrence Sher used color to isolate Arthur Fleck in a world that rejects him. His apartment scenes glow with warm tungsten, while the world outside feels cold and distant, filtered in blue or green hues. Even in subway shots, Arthur is lit with warmer tones, surrounded by sickly greens that push him visually and emotionally apart from his environment. This isn't just pretty lighting. It's emotional depth through color. And it costs nothing but intention. Warm colors advance, cool colors recede. So before you shoot, ask, can I separate my subject with tone, not just light? Now let's talk air. We often think of lighting and lenses, but atmosphere itself is a layer, one that can literally fill your frame with depth. So, how do you create atmosphere? Use haze, smoke, fog. This softens the background, reveals light rays, and creates aerial perspective, making far-off objects appear hazier, just like in real life. In silence, Martin Scorsese and cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto masterfully used fog and smoke in the landscapes of 17th century Japan. Morning mists rolled through valleys, veiling distant trees and hills, making the characters feel small and vulnerable. In tighter scenes, incense smoke floated through shafts of light, adding texture to spiritual spaces and emotional moments. The result? A world that feels deep, sacred, and lived in. And again, this doesn't require a Hollywood budget. Atmosphere is one of the cheapest ways to elevate your image and make your space feel like cinema. Color and atmosphere don't just beautify the image. They shape perception, guide emotion, and add invisible layers of depth. Use color separation to guide the eye. Use haze and fog to create space between layers. And remember, you don't need big lights to craft cinematic depth. Just a bit of smoke, some color contrast, and your viewer is suddenly inside the frame, not just watching it. Now the solution to the problem I told you earlier about why your films get ignored, even when they look good, is called the cinematic depth system. It's not another guide full of tips. It's built to take you from overlooked to unforgettable. It shows you how to turn any room, camera, budget, and frame into something unforgettable. It's packed with proven frameworks, practical exercises, and over 120 pages of exclusive content that guides you on how to make every frame pull your audience in, tell a story that moves them, and makes your film a classic. With it, you'll stop guessing and confidently start creating shots that hooks and sticks in your audience's mind forever. And right now, we've opened just 30 launch copies at a special price, so more filmmakers can grab it. 14 are already gone. That means only 16 are left. Once those are claimed, this launch price disappears. And the best part is, you can even get it in your language. So, if you're tired of being invisible, overlooked, and wondering why no one talks about your work or gives you the respect you deserve, this is your moment. Don't let it pass. Click the link in the description and check it out. Now, let's get back into the craft. So you've painted with light and carved atmosphere with color and fog. Your shot breathes now. But if the world around your subject feels hollow, that breath won't last long. Because depth isn't just crafted in the air, it's anchored in the space itself. So, let's talk about how to create cinematic depth just by using set design and your environment. Because your location is more than a place, it's a storytelling tool. Most new filmmakers try to keep spaces neat and minimal. But clutter, when used intentionally, can create layers of depth. A shelf in the foreground, a curtain in the midground, a softly lit wall in the background. Suddenly, the shot feels full, textured, and lived in. Even simple props, like stacks of books, hanging coats, or desk lamps, can help divide the frame into visual planes. So, don't be afraid of mess if it's motivated. On the flip side, clean spaces also tell a story, especially when paired with composition. Minimalism creates negative space, allowing the subject to pop and visually expressing isolation, quiet, or emotional distance. Directors like Sofia Coppola use sparse environments to frame characters in emotional stillness. In both cases, the rule is this: everything in the frame either adds depth or takes it away. We don't always have sets. We shoot in real homes, alleyways, or whatever we can find. But natural locations, when chosen well, offer built-in depth. So look for spaces with structure, hallways that stretch back into the frame, doorways that create visual frames within frames, columns, stairs, and archways that divide space. In Paul, Apostle of Christ, director Andrew Hyatt and cinematographer Gerardo Madrazo used ancient Roman architecture to bring the past to life and to build natural depth into their shots. Long corridors in stone prisons created vanishing points that pulled the eye inward. Open courtyards surrounded by columns added layers of arches, people, and shadows. Even torchlight flickering in layered rooms created contrast between near and far. It was all about using structure to tell the story, visually and emotionally. In Knives Out, director Rian Johnson turned a single mansion into a masterclass in production design and depth. The corridors and staircases didn't just look good, they layered the frame. Characters walked through doorways, behind pillars, or stood in front of towering bookshelves. Set dressing, from chairs to chandeliers, created planes of visual information, giving the audience something to explore in every corner of the frame. Every room felt alive. Every composition felt intentional. So, your next cinematic location might not be a soundstage. It might be your church hallway, a courtyard, or an apartment with structure. You just have to train your eye to see the depth in real places. You don't need a big art department to create cinematic depth. Clutter adds texture. Minimalism shapes emotion. And real-world locations, when used right, do half the work for you. Use hallways, doorways, and architectural lines to build natural perspective. And remember, your environment is one of your strongest tools. Use it well, and your frame stops being a picture and starts becoming a world. And there you have it, lighting that sculpts, color that speaks, and spaces that breathe life into every frame. If this saved you from another flat, lifeless shot, smash that like button. It actually helps more filmmakers find these techniques. Subscribe to Breadfruit Studios if you want to keep leveling up your craft, and ring that bell so you never miss a frame of cinematic gold. Drop a comment and tell us, which technique are you trying first on your next shoot? And remember, great filmmaking isn't about the gear you own. It's about the vision you create. Keep shooting, keep creating. We'll see you in the next frame.